Aloha and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this news conference by the Hawaii State Teachers Association to discuss the Hawaii Department of Education's plans for the remainder of the 2019-2020 school year. My name is Keoki Kerr, and I'm the Communications Director for HSTA. We have reporters here. This is a news conference, and the reporters will be asking questions of our three folks who we have here, our three state leaders of HSTA, the president, our vice president, and our secretary treasurer, who all have different perspectives to share with our members and with the state today. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to the president of our nearly 14,000 members, is HSTA President Corey Rosenlee, who's a social studies teacher at Campbell High School. And I know Corey wanted to quickly address our members for a few seconds before talking to everybody else.
Aloha, members and the members of the community watching this. I'm Corey Rosenlee, president of the Hawaii State Teachers Association. I just want to say to all of our members, I'm sure you have lots of questions, and over the next couple of days, we're going to try to do our best to answer them. I know in past, when we've done these live, you've had a chance to put your questions into the comments and we were answering them. This is a press conference. We wanted you to see it live as long with the press, so we can try to answer it as best as possible. We do hope in the next few days that we will be doing a Facebook Live where we will answer questions about the distancing school for the rest of the school year and other questions that you do have. And we will be reaching out to you when we will be doing that. But right now, we just wanted you to get the same information that's been going on at the same time. So with that, so let me get started. Today, we heard from the superintendent, Christina Kishimoto, the plan to do distance learning for the rest of the school year. This has been a very difficult time for all of Hawaii, and that is so true for our students, our teachers, and our parents. For our students, schools provide a sense of normalcy in their days, and I've been so impressed by all of our teachers across the state that have been working to provide all sorts of amazing enrichment activities to make sure that we engage our students. But I know this announcement unbelievably comes for a lot of our students is really disappointing. I never thought I would hear my daughter say that she misses school. But I think she echoes what a lot of students are saying across the state. They miss their teachers, and I've heard from a lot of our teachers, they miss their students. You know, we're trying to do the best that we can, but HSTA does support the superintendent's decision to do distance learning for the rest of the school year. As long as there was ambiguity about when school would open, it made it very difficult for our teachers to plan. Now we know what's going to happen for the rest of the school year. We're going to work as best as we can to continue to provide enrichment activities, but this will help us give ideas of how to do our lesson planning, to be able to answer questions about grading, and to do our best to help our students that are currently not passing. We also want to make sure that we can work with our seniors to be able to help them to graduate. So while this is not the best situation for everyone, we are happy that this decision has finally been made so that we can start planning and try to do the best that we can to provide the enrichment activities and learning for our keiki. So with that, I will turn it over to our Vice President, Osa Tui.
Hi there, I'm Osa Tui, the Registrar from McKinley High School and Vice President of the Hawaii State Teachers Association. One of my tasks as Registrar is preparing diplomas and transcripts for our graduating seniors, and those seniors have been through a lot in their educational careers. As second graders, they went through Furlough Fridays, and now 10 years later, they're not experiencing the most memorable, they are actually experiencing the most memorable quarter of their educational careers, just not as a senior normally would. Despite these tumultuous times, our teachers have continued to work hard to provide some semblance of stability for students throughout the state. Our teachers are saddened at the thought that when they said goodbye to their students leaving for spring break, it might very well be the last time they would ever see some of those students again. Oftentimes, guidance from the department has left many questions unanswered, and even administrators at schools have been looking to HSTA for answers on how to proceed in these times of uncertainty. We appreciate now knowing that continuity of learning will continue through the end of the year. Our educators, through all of this, are trying to hold it together themselves, with the added stress coming from talk of furloughs or drastic pay cuts. Large classes already plague our system, and cutting pay will only make worse any recruitment and retention efforts as our veterans look to retire in droves, others move out of the state, and aspiring educators reevaluate their career choices. Furloughs will deprive students who return next year from much needed classroom instruction, students who have already been denied an entire quarter this year. While we're saddened that students are having to learn some tough life lessons through this, I know we'll all pull together, and our schools are doing everything possible to support and provide for our students in this time of needed social distancing. I'm looking forward to our alternative graduation plans coming together for my graduating McKinley Tigers next month and for those throughout the state.
Thank you so much, Osa Tui. And next, we're going to hear from HSTA's Secretary Treasurer, Logan Okita. She's a first grade teacher at Nimitz Elementary. So she has been continuing to work with her first graders virtually. Logan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Logan Okita, a first grade teacher at Nimitz Elementary and HSTA Secretary Treasurer. I want to start by saying I miss my students tremendously, but this decision will keep them safe. Sorry. I didn't think when I said goodbye to them on March 13th that I wouldn't see them. Sorry. When I said goodbye to them on March 13th, I didn't think that it was the end of the year. I've sent postcards, I read aloud videos, and I check in as often as they're able to as first graders. I know that our teachers are trying to create a sense of normalcy when this isn't normal for any of us. I wanted to share a story about a teacher out in Waianae who is sending gift cards to her students so that they're able to meet their basic needs, because at school they'd be able to turn in Waianae Strong coupons for food, but they're not able to do that. So she's sending them gift cards to express her appreciation for them participating in her classes online. So students, we miss you, but we're gonna come out of this stronger.
Thank you so much, Logan. And I think that shows you the deep commitment that teachers across the state have to their keiki, of course. I know you folks have some questions. So again, reporters who have questions, please just throw your name and your organization over into the chat, and we'll have you ask some questions. So we're going to start off with Ashley Mizuo from Hawaii Public Radio. Ashley, can you unmute and ask your question, please? Thanks.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Yeah, I think. Okay. Okay, great. So does HSTA have any idea of how many students are participating? I like anecdotally anyway from teachers. I know that Dr. K was saying that mostly it's kept tracked by individual principals. So do you guys have any perspective as to how many are actually participating?
You know, we don't have exact data. I know that teachers across the state have been reaching out to their students. And I'm going to let Logan speak on this one, because I know that at her school, they've actually had to reach out individually. So Logan, why don't you answer that one?
So in my class, I've been tracking it throughout this time. I have a spreadsheet because as a teacher and a secretary treasurer, I'm a data nerd. And I have about 90% of my class who are regularly turning things into me virtually, mostly by photos of their work from their parents. But I've been able to be in contact with 100% of my families.
Did that seem to kind of be the case across the board that you've heard, or?
At our school, yes.
You know, even in good times, it's hard to get all of our students to do their homework. And this is not an easy time. You know, we know that a lot of our students are going through trauma. You know, a lot of their parents are out of work. And that's one of the reasons that throughout this entire process, we've been cognizant that we're trying to do enrichment activities rather than grading. We want to be able to provide learning, but be very cognizant that a lot of our students are going through a lot right now. And sometimes families, because of the trauma that they're going through, it may not be the easiest thing, and maybe one more burden to actually try to sit down and say, you got to do your homework right now. So our teachers are providing opportunities. They've been going online. They've been providing the opportunities to do the packets. But we want to be very supportive of everyone during this very difficult time. So, some students just may not have the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. And next, we have Chelsea Davis from Hawaii News Now. Hi, Chelsea. Can you unmute yourself and ask away?
Hi, yes. So how are teachers dealing with the other 10 or so percentage of students who haven't been participating in the distance learning?
I wouldn't want to just say that it's been 10%. I know that it's different in all parts of the state. When we went into this process, we knew that there are some places in Hawaii that do not have internet access. There are some places that are distant from their schools, and it's not easy to get their packets. So we do know that there have been some schools that they've asked their teachers to reach out to, say, for example, all the students in their homerooms, but not everyone has a cell phone, and it's not easy to reach out to them. So we've done the best that we can. We're working with our principals when we cannot, and we do the best we can. So I don't know. Is there anyone, Logan or Osa, did you want to add on to that at all? Okay.
I think teachers are trying their best to reach as many families as possible. And I know that I'm really lucky in my school community. I teach students who are military dependents, and I've been able to access them because they have the means for being able to communicate with me online.
And actually, I know at our school, if students are not able to come, we've had about 50 to 70 kids coming every week to pick up packets, but we're now going to be expanding and offering the packet pickups available closer to the students, especially those who live in our public housing at some of the elementary schools, rather than having to have them come all the way to the high school.
Okay, thank you. And next we hear from Suvan Lee from Civil Beat. Hi, Suvan.
Hey, Kiyoki. Hi, everyone. This question is for Osa. So you actually, you just mentioned paper packets. What's actually in these paper packets? And that was not my original question, but the original question was, when you're a registrar, so we know that modified graduation requirements are going to only count third quarter or up to third quarter grades. So how are you, registrars like your office, coordinating with colleges in terms of high school seniors requesting their transcripts, using those for, I guess, submissions to colleges that are still pending their decision? What does that look like for coordination wise? Thank you.
Absolutely. We've been trying to get some concrete answers from the department as to final grades and how those will be collected and how those will be calculated and how those will be reported out to students. And we're very fortunate that we're starting to get with the times in Hawaii to be able to submit transcripts electronically. That's been a real burden that we've been trying to overcome, that we're starting to get through. But we have our registrars who are going into schools once a week to process those ones for people who need it for other types of reasons. And they've just been going into their offices, printing those report cards, making sure that we have everything done in the office that needs to be done paperwork-wise.
Okay, and the paper packets thing?
And as for the paper packets, we have some teachers who are, just today, my principal is like, some of you guys are submitting 30-page packets for each student. And we appreciate that you really want to get that work out there to the students, but if you can just try and minimize the number of pages that you want distributed. So our teachers are going through a lot, trying to provide enrichment and activities that will be, students can self-direct, or if they can contact their teachers. But it's a lot of work going through, because generally a teacher usually has their lesson plans all set, and this has really upset their plans, and they've had to all come up with new things. This is a whole new world for a lot of us, for almost all of us, and just trying to come up with these paper packets and various ways of instruction. Our teachers have come through amazingly.
But if I may, just want real briefly, like, has anyone thumbed through one of these packets? Like, is the sky the limit as far as where they're drawing the lessons from? Are teachers just pulling things from the internet, or I don't know, whatever curriculum they were using? Like, what does it actually look like?
Logan,
Oh, go ahead.
Logan's been having to do these for her students, right? The packets?
Yes. So Suvan, if you don't mind, my grade level team meets multiple times a week virtually, and we pull materials that we were already using. We are using parts of current curriculum, using supplemental resources that we already would have been using, and then getting a little bit more creative about how we can also present some of the material in a way that would interest the students and not require a lot of parent support. But we're basically using what we would have been using, but it's a matter of trying to arrange it so that it works for the students. And yes, trying not to make packets that are 30 pages each week.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Subhan. And we have Eric Stinton from KHON2. Hi, Eric.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
Eric.
we can.
Okay, great. I have two questions. The first one is for Osa. You said that you have some you're excited for some of these alternative graduation plans. Can you share any of those ideas that you guys have bounced around?
So we haven't come up with concrete plans just yet. We just know that we're going to do something on the originally scheduled date. It is going to be online in some fashion, and I'm looking forward to us coming up. But we know in some of our smaller communities, they're talking about maybe drive-through graduations, or it's going to be a whole variety of things. And I'm excited to see what the different schools come up with. It is going to be a school-by-school decision as to how they're going to do this.
Okay, and the second question, just so I'm clear, ELO for students who did not meet the adequate standards, that will still be going on virtually this summer, correct?
Go ahead, Osa.
That seems to be the indication from our superintendent. Well, we're waiting to see things in more detail. But yes, throughout the summer, the students, especially like our seniors, they're going to have all the way up until the day that school starts next year to finish up any work that they need, any type of classes that they need, whether it be through eSchool or some other type of option, in order to get those graduation requirements so that they can achieve that 2020 diploma this year.
And just as a quick follow-up, how do you guys, I know that you're waiting on confirmation for exactly what's going to happen, but have you guys started kicking around exactly like the logistics of how you would roll that out, either school by school, or is it a broader thing from the top down?
Well, I think now that we know for sure schools will be out for the rest of the year, every school is coming up with their own plan. So I couldn't say for sure what each school is doing. And I'm sure schools with our graduation advisors throughout the schools, they're coming up with innovative ways to make sure that it is a special occasion that can be shared with all of their families who may not be able to be there in person, but hopefully will be able to be there virtually to celebrate this once in a lifetime for many of our students opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric. We have a follow-up question from Chelsea at HNN. Chelsea?
Hi there, yes. So while traditional graduation ceremonies won't occur, some people have asked to postpone those ceremonies to the end of the year rather than flat out canceling them. Just wanted to ask what your folks' thoughts are about that.
So I can just speak. I know that my daughter is a junior at Campbell High School. She has friends that are seniors, and we all know in Hawaii that graduation is, a culminating moment and something that I taught seniors for years, and this is something that's so important to them. So I don't know what the schools. I think there's a lot of creativity going on. Some schools have been talking about doing a ceremony later on as well. I think that we're going to have to wait and see, but I do think that that we're all trying to do the best that we can and try to find a way to make sure that these students have, this very precious moment in their lives.
Okay, and Susan Asoyan from the Star Advertiser. Hi, Susan.
Hey, everybody. Just wondering if you have any students are being helped or served.
Okay. Osa or Logan, either one want to take that one? Logan, why don't you take that one? Because I know that you have special education students in your room.
I've been sitting with my special education counterparts this week in distance learning plan meetings and helping to meet those students' needs virtually.
We know that a lot of our teachers have had a lot of questions on how to service our students with special needs. And so we were very fortunate that the department was willing to do a question and answer session with our teachers to figure out some of those answers and how to go about doing the students' individualized education plan and provide services in this time of social distancing. It's a tough job to do.
I do know that teachers have been reaching out to parents. They have been doing video conferencing them with them to try to do the IEPs or on the calls and trying to reach out to them. They've been trying to find ways to accommodate lessons in order to do it. So, you know, our special education teachers are doing the best they can to make sure that we provide services to those students during this time.
Okay, Susan, thank you. And Suvan has a follow-up from Civil Beat. Suvan.
Yeah, hey Corey. Superintendent has really emphasized this summer school thing as sort of a boost to help out kids who are not getting enough credits. Where are we going to find the teachers to staff summer school adequately?
Well, our teachers already do summer school across the state, and so this is nothing new. I think that if they put out the call to find more teachers, the teachers will step up to do it. But to go deeper to your question, though, is we know that there is an impact on students, especially those that come from low-income families when they do not have school. So being able to provide an opportunity, whether it's a summer or next year, to make sure that they can make sure and learn that with either the data, the information, or the skills is going to be important.
I've been in contact with the person who is organizing eSchool and all of those opportunities, and she's having to go through hundreds and hundreds of emails every night, people wanting to sign up for eSchool, people wanting to be able to have those opportunities. And bless her heart, she's doing everything she can to make sure that students are going to be able to have those opportunities.
But for 10-month teachers, this is fully optional, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
It absolutely is.
To come teach in the summer, that is.
Correct. And oftentimes a lot of our aspiring educators who are going to be employed in the fall will take a summer school job in order to kind of get their feet wet in terms of teaching. So it's jumping into the fire this time.
Okay, and another question from Eric Stinton at KHON2.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on the special ed question and was curious, have IEP meetings been happening in this time since school's gone virtual?
I'll ask Logan or also Logan, you want to take it first?
Yes, they have. I've sat in a 504 meeting while we've been working virtually, and I have an IEP coming up.
And my follow-up to that is, so are parents the ones who are documenting data for the IEP, or how is that, whether it's a 504 or an IEP, how exactly are the forms being filled out as everything is gone digital?
I wouldn't be comfortable answering for everybody. I know this is my IEP is an IEP that we collected data on prior to spring break, and we were just needing to finish the process.
And we know that when school resumes, that a lot of these teachers for students with special needs are going to have to sit down and evaluate every single student and what they need to be able to get back to where they were, to where they should be. And that's going to be a lot of work when school resumes.
And we thank you for those questions. And I also thank our panel for answering to the best of their ability from what they see. And I want to remind our reporters, right, that these are our teacher leaders. They are not the DOE leaders who are running the policy and making all the decisions. And so these questions, of course, some of them would be, better directed toward the DOE, of course, who's in charge of a lot of these details. And we thank our leaders for taking these questions on the fly. And one more coming in. Hi, Ash, one more.
Hi, sorry. Just really quick. Can you go into a little bit about how intensive parents need to be involved? I know that, I mean, obviously high schoolers and like maybe late middle schoolers could kind of do it on their own, but, kindergarten, first graders probably aren't capable of, staying in class on their own. So do you mind kind of elaborating on that?
Logan, go ahead and then I'll take it.
Okay, so as a first grade teacher, I'm asking my parents to help with reading the directions and reviewing the work. But for the most part, I'm assigning things that my students would normally be able to do independently in class, with a little bit of introduction and guidance. And I'm having to remind some of them that they're able to do it without mom or dad to sit by them and help them the entire time. But it's requiring more some supervision from parents, but it's also not expecting them to be sitting for 6 hours to do work.
And so Ashley, I'll take that question too, because we've been getting a lot of this. People say, why can't we just do all of our grading online and require students to do the grades? And half of our students are free and reduced lunch. We have thousands of students that are homeless. We have students whose parents do not speak English. A lot of our students, they may not live with mom and dad, or mom and dad may be working. And so that is why throughout this process has been enrichment activities. And while some people have been critical of that, we want to be sure that no child should have that stress that I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. So that's why we've done what we've done, because we understand our Keiki circumstances. Okay.
Thanks, Ashley. And we're getting tons of other questions. I did want to ask this one, maybe Osa, since he's a registrar, knows, putting you on the spot, Osa. What about extended year for failing students and summer school? So ESY and summer school, are these happening at the same time, or how does all this work?
Extended year is usually for those students with special needs, generally for those who are in self-contained classes. So that, I assume, if students are allowed to come back to summer school, the ESY will definitely kick up again, I'm sure. And as for our seniors who are on the borderline and who need that extra time, I think it's going to come down to these credit recovery options that the department is going to be rolling out, as I understand it.
Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And reporters, I want you to know that a lot of our members are putting plenty of comments in the comments section on Facebook and saying, are you going to share our comments with the media? And to that, I would say, well, you've already shared them with the world on Facebook. So I invite our reporter friends to take a look at many of those comments. And our teachers who are used to writing many questions in the comments are peppering us with questions about how multi-track schools are affected. Will we be able to go back to classrooms before the end of the school year, to clean out our gear, to get students' belongings back to them, to get textbooks back? Those are examples of all the specifics that we will be working out with the DOE in the days ahead, and we'll be pushing out to you through our social media and through our FAQs and through our Facebook Lives, and we'll give you the opportunity to ask more detailed questions about fourth quarter grades, SPED issues, and so on. This is a news conference for reporters who are on extreme deadline at 4:18 on a Friday, and that's we're just able to scratch the surface here for that one, and we know our members have many more detailed questions, and we could hang out here for 2 hours answering them, and we promise we will be answering them in more detail for you in the days ahead, and we will let you know when that is scheduled. And we thank you for all you do for students and for this community, and for all your care and love that you give our Keiki. We'd like to ask our reporters to stand by if there are any questions in the chat, and we can chat about that. But for now, we're going to end this live stream, and we thank everybody for listening, our members of the public, parents, family members, and others. We say aloha to you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, members.